Hi there, it's Donovan. Nothing lasts forever. Sometimes you don't want to say goodbye. Maybe to your girlfriend, Matt Pat, or your current run in Subway Surfers. Maybe you do think it's time to move on. Either from a nagging ex, that PS4 that sounds like a jet, or a current presidency. What am I getting at here? I have feelings for a piece of plastic. The Nintendo Switch, one of the greatest video game systems of all time. 8 years fly by so fast. 8 years since it was first unveiled, 8 years since the death of the Wii U, and still no Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival port. What the hell is this garbage? With the dawn of a new Nintendo upon us, reality hit me hard when I just realized just how long the Switch has been with me. It's far from my first gaming system, but it is a device that grew up alongside me. I picked up the Nintendo Switch day one. Ever since, it's been an essential component of my life. From its first breath to the journey beyond, the Switch has not only impacted and embarrassingly changed my life, but millions of others too. If the sheer creativity and innovation displayed through Nintendo Switch doesn't impress you, I'm not sure what will. The Nintendo Switch is a system that is very close to me. During the Wii U era, the 4 years felt like an eternity, while the 8 years of the Nintendo Switch, at times it felt like barely any time has passed at all. The Nintendo of today is vastly different from the Nintendo of the start of the generation. So I'd like you to join me as we take a retrospective and a look at the Nintendo Switch, gaming's biggest comeback. The history of this stupid piece of plastic cannot be talked about in full without the history of this other stupid piece of plastic. The Nintendo Wii, a console whose name you'll remember forever, was a huge hit for Nintendo and provided a new way to play games. A definitive way. The Wii managed to sell 101 million units to date, a milestone not so easily crossed by other systems. Nintendo achieved these staggering numbers by enamoring this everyday man with the Wii remote. This blunt murder weapon of a controller revolutionized motion controls for the industry and paved the way for many amazing experiences only found on Wii. But due to this new casual image, many gamers then and now could perceive the Wii as nothing more than a gimmicky fad, and sales unfortunately supported their thesis. So when it came time for the Wii U, Nintendo felt that they needed to not only pull the casuals back in, but also to pull in the hardcore gamers too. A very simple goal for the Wii U, at least on paper. Now how well did it succeed at that? It was the year of Luigi's fault. The Nintendo Wii U, a console whose name you'll forever scratch your head at. Look at this little Fisher-Price toy. The gamepad was the Wii U's big selling point, giving you a new way to play. For example, with the Wii U gamepad, you can tap the screen to make blocks appear in New Super Mario Bros. U. Yeah, we're cooked. In an effort to please everyone, the Wii U pleased no one and was left to die by the industry and the world. Despite having some amazing exclusives, it was already too late as the Wii U could not survive with such dire game droughts. In the end, it sold a laughable 13 million units, making it Nintendo's worst-selling system of all time. Nintendo rose to heaven, we rose to heaven, but you let it fall to hell. Just 2 years within the Wii U's life, rumors of a new hybrid Nintendo console limped from the shadows. Unfortunately, it was not the Wii phone. It's strange in hindsight looking at Nintendo during the Wii U era now, seeing how small and desperate they were during a dire time for the company. Many thought it'd be the end of Nintendo's venture in making dedicated gaming systems. In order to squash the gossip, former president of Nintendo, Satoru Iwata, confirmed in 2015 that Nintendo was indeed creating a hybrid system under the codename NX. Iwata's revolutionary ideas really shaped Nintendo into what it is today. He made sure games were designed for all, designed to be fun. He thought out of the box in order to bring people closer to playing fun games. He shortly passed away after revealing the NX, never getting to see the mind-blowing success it became. Internally, the NX was seen as Iwata's final project, and employees always ended meetings with 2 words: for Iwata. The NX leaks and rumors was when I first became enamored by not just games, but the gaming industry as a whole. And it was the very reason I never bought a Wii U, so a lot of good came out of this from this time. Waiting for the NX was pure torture. I'm sick of my 3DS, where's the NX? But honestly, looking back, it was a super fun time in my life where I was learning so much about gaming, where my passions truly began. Even though it very specifically said 3DS Direct, I was hoping for even a peep about NX. But when that glorious image of Mario popped up on Twitter, Nintendo NX was revealed to be Nintendo Switch. That trailer was a magical experience. It felt like being a part of history. I was there, day zero, rooting for the Switch on from the sidelines. I recall watching the trailer multiple times with my 3DS. I think I gave my 3DS body dysmorphia. It was the dawn of a new age for Nintendo. The climb back to paradise. I remember March 3rd, 2017, crystal clear. I couldn't wait to come back home, to go to the store and get a Switch. But to my surprise, the Switch was already at home. It was pure magic. Being there on day one was like being on the front lines of a battle. This was only the humble beginnings of a console that'll grow only from here. Funnily enough, I closed my 3DS when unboxing the Switch, closing an old chapter and starting anew. One of the more slept on features of the Nintendo Switch is its operating system. Compared to the 3DS or Wii U, it feels so sterile and soulless. Gone were the days of a goofy Nintendo. Here comes the boring Switch to ruin the fun. But I think the Nintendo Switch operating system is low-key one of the best there is. The main point of a gaming system is to play video games. A message that seemingly got lost for a while with the media-centric PS4 and the god-awful ad-riddled mess of the Xbox One. An issue that still somewhat exists with the PS5 and Xbox Series consoles. But Nintendo Switch asks the most important question a gaming operating system should. What do you want to play? There is zero bloat when it comes to the home menu. Everything moves silky smooth and loads instantaneously. Sure, the Wii U and 3DS had fun ambiance, but would you really take load time slower than Joe Biden's speech over fast navigation? The Nintendo Switch home menu simply lays out the most vital things you'll need for a gaming system, the games themselves. That's not to say there's no other features in the home menu. At the bottom of the screen there are other apps of note. The album stores all of your screenshots and recordings. Unfortunately, recording is only up to 30 seconds in 720p, but the ability to create garbage memes makes up for it. Can you guess what the news does? Controllers allows you to change the grip or order at ease. If you have special colored Joy-Cons or Pro controllers, the system will recognize it, which is a very cool detail. The color of Joy-Cons will also appear when connecting it to the system. The Nintendo Switch Online app really is just a big advertisement, but it is a helpful way of keeping up to date with online Switch games, and where you can redeem user icons with My Nintendo Platinum points. Introduced with Nintendo Switch 2 are Game Share and Virtual Game Cards. Game Share is an evolution of download play, but its functionality is limited to just joining a session on Switch 1. Virtual game cards make sharing your digital library even easier in an increasingly digital society. At the top of the screen, you'll find your user page, a quick and easy way to check in on who's online, your game invites, what's trendy with your friends, and how much you need to take a shower. And then we have the infamous system settings, where dreams go to die. Most notable items here are the staggering amount of themes. We have Flashbang and the correct answer. I've spent an embarrassingly long time calibrating control sticks. It's its own minigame at this point. But the most fun, or depressing, is the Mii Maker, stuffed away inside system settings with no ambiance or fun. The Mii Maker on Nintendo Switch scares me. The Switch operating system prides itself on being the quickest middleman, but what happens when its pride is stripped away? You get the Nintendo eShop. Formerly orange, it now takes on a Nintendo-like shade of red, which makes sense. Maybe the red is the bleeding organs of Baggy, because this thing is barely alive. Just look at this. Completely unacceptable, but at least they got banger games. Despite this, the OS truly showcased what Nintendo's greatest strength was during this generation, the games. Nintendo needed a game that would perfectly encapsulate what makes the Nintendo Switch so unique. They needed a title that would show off why taking large, breathtaking games on the go would be appealing. They also needed a title that symbolically represented the company's ability to innovate, remain unique, and be pioneers in the medium. And that game was, of course, The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. What more can I add to the conversation? Breath of the Wild was such a genre-defining title that would change the industry forever and inspire the developers of the future to create games that would evoke the same kind of mystery and adventure like it did. I loved every second of this game. running around Hyrule, trolling bokoblins, messing and glitching out the runes, really doing anything but saving the princess. It was awesome. But there'd be times where I don't do anything, and just walk around enjoying the sights and sounds of the ruined landscape being reclaimed by nature. Humanity may have lost the battle, but life goes on. That's the tragedy in ruins. It's almost beautiful in a way. What more can I say about this game? It's great, it's awesome. I just wish we can crucify these guys though. The ruined land of Hyrule serves as a poignant reflection of the Wii U's defeat. While acknowledging the past, it's important to recognize that learning from mistakes can pave the way for a brighter future. That brighter future came not just in the form of sweeping landscapes and quiet reflection, but also in the globe-trotting adventure that reintroduced pure joy and whimsy to Nintendo's golden boy. With Super Mario Odyssey, Nintendo reminded the world of its unmatched talent for fun, offering a vibrant celebration of creativity that stands in stark contrast to Breath of the Wild's solemn beauty. Before Odyssey, the Mario franchise was in a bit of a bland state. The previous big 3D Mario game was Super Mario 3D World, a very fun platformer no doubt, but was visually uninspired and was a sequel to a smaller 3DS game. On the 2D side, we had New Super Mario Bros. U, again, another fun platformer. It's just a shame that it looked the exact same as the past 3 games, with one of those games being released 4 months earlier. So when Super Mario Odyssey was revealed to be a new sandbox-style platformer, it was a breath of fresh air. This game's identity stands out loud and proud when thrown into the enormous series that is Super Mario. I'd say Galaxy and Odyssey are the 2 most zany games. All of these worlds are filled to the brim with creative locals and tight platforming challenges. The live band orchestra has never made Mario feel more alive. And the controls. God, the controls are immaculate. If you want to perform a specific action, Mario will do it, no problem. And with the inclusion of Cappy, it's game over for any other platformer. The amount of versatility Cappy brings is nothing short of pure bliss. You can move basically anywhere. He is an essential part of Mario's already tight moveset. I could do a decent job of moving around with Cappy, but my brother seemingly has mastered his capabilities. I've seen him speedrun this game more times than he's done his actual homework. Recently, I went over to a friend's house and saw his little brother playing Odyssey. It has been a long time since I've played the game, so seeing him pull off all these moves and gain so much ground so effortlessly really showed the strengths of a Mario game. They can be super accessible to everyone, yet have deep enough gameplay to have veterans engrossed in its world. I haven't even mentioned the capture ability. You can be anything. A T-Rex, a Moai statue, you can be the letter M. But on top of the outlandish creatures or objects, there are some really helpful captures that completely change up the gameplay and can really accelerate your movement to the highest degrees. Mario Odyssey, though a little bloated, truly showed off that not just Mario, but Nintendo could still pull out fresh ideas that defined their respective genres. That same inventive spirit splashed its way into the online multiplayer space with Splatoon 2. Though not a brand new IP anymore, Splatoon on the Wii U proved to be a big draw for the 2 people that owned one. Barely a third of Wii U owners had a copy of Splatoon, so not bad for a new IP, but it was grounds for something bigger, a sequel that could build something more grand and polished on the foundation. That's where Splatoon 2 came in. Nearly better in every way to its predecessor, 2 proved Nintendo could bring its own unique charm and polish to competitive gameplay and thrive in a genre long dominated by others. This game cemented Splatoon's role as one of Nintendo's tentpole franchises. Though big worldwide, Splatoon is very much a sensation over in Japan. There's just no other game like it. Ever heard of Ninjala or Foam Stars? When I say you should play Splatoon, many often scoff at the idea. You're a kid, you're a squid, you're a kid, you're a squid commercial did irreparable damage to the series over in the States, I swear. Splatoon's also a very hard game to watch, simply because it's so fast-paced with so many colors flying at you. I say you have to play it first with a bunch of noobs, get into the groove, then gradually get better and play more competitive modes to truly get a grasp of it. Then, Splatoon truly shines. What I love is that a complete idiot can play the game and still contribute massively to the team. The controls and premise are so simple, but can get so complex and deep once you're in the know. Just shoot the gun and you're already doing good. Once you learn that you can swim and move way faster in your own ink, the movement tech can easily separate you from being a noob to a pro. You begin to hide, strafe, and roll. everything just opens up and games can get really sweaty afterwards. And it's then where you realize that Splatoon is special. There's nothing else quite like it. Shooting ink, swimming through your territory, splatting your opponents with a paint roller or a bucket or bamboo while screeching "Booyah!" at the top of your lungs, or squid partying because you know your team's ass got wrecked harder than the English teacher on her day off. It's pure competitive team camaraderie. Splatoon 3 builds off of what 2 does and makes it the ultimate Splatoon experience, now with a post-apocalyptic vibe and a very marketable mascots. Splatoon 3 introduces the squid roll, where you can roll in ink at any time to evade fire, trick opponents, leap across gaps, and more. The gameplay loop has never felt better. I've spent many hours with friends, building teams, just getting better and better to prove that love is the most important thing in life. It's insane that money won. Also, can we talk about how the white teams always win? On top of the Splatfest that bring the community together every month, with an insanely energetic, fashion and idol-focused world with pretty insane world building, Splatoon truly has cemented itself as Nintendo's unique forte in the crowded and messy genre of multiplayer shooters. Nintendo had to fight their way into the multiplayer shooter genre with Splatoon, and in many ways, they still have a long way to go compared to the global sensations that are Fortnite, or Helldivers, or Call of Duty. But there is one battle that Nintendo doesn't even have to try. Steamrolling the competition at literally every turn is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Though a port of a Wii U game, 8 Deluxe does everything in its power to make it not just the ultimate Mario Kart 8 experience, but the ultimate Mario Kart experience, or the ultimate party game experience ever. I mean, how do you top this game? To this day, it still looks gorgeous. That sensational rush you get at top speeds of 200cc is unbelievable. The courses are immaculate. The driver roster doesn't suck ass this time. Battle mode actually won't drive suicide rates up. The music will make any driver speed in zones they aren't supposed to. It's simply Mario Kart perfection. Later down the line, they added the Booster Course Pass for a total of 96 courses. Sure, the quality of assets did dip with it, but it's 48 additional courses, plus with pretty robust online. Who doesn't use tilt controls? There just simply cannot be a better Mario Kart. Perhaps the lack of a mission mode takes away from this game. Perhaps you like more chaotic item balancing. Perhaps it isn't Mario Kart Double Dash. But just look at what we have. It's nothing short of perfection. Why? Because we can drive with cardboard, of course. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is the best-selling Switch game. It is one of the best-selling games ever. But why is that? Whether you're alone or playing with a huge group of people, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is that guaranteed dopamine rush that brings everyone together. In love or in masochism, Mario Kart does it best. I mean, it gets people riled up. It is the most stressful game ever, in like a good way. I think I am a masochist. Plus, with Nintendo Switch, you can take that feeling anywhere. At home, at school, the bus, on shrooms, or when you're actually driving. Some of my favorite gaming memories are from the countless hours of fun I have when playing this game. Literally so many memories of just this Mario Kart alone. And not just gaming memories, but core memories of my life. That's how powerful this game is at bringing people together. It is the Nintendo game. Just simply hand a Joy-Con to a friend and you're off to the races. Speaking of the Joy-Con, they are, let's say, a controversial controller. For starters, they are tiny. Maybe not for someone like me, but by the way, I am 6 foot and can dunk basketballs. The buttons are small and clicky. No D-pad, no analog triggers. SL and SR are laughably terrible, and most people don't even know what this is. But of course, the biggest flaw are the control sticks. Too small and too unreliable. Joy-Con drift was this era's red ring of death. Everyone I know who owns a Switch has experienced drift. I've experienced it on 4 Joy-Cons. Absolutely unacceptable. And besides that, the control sticks themselves just feel too small with very short travel. All of these make up an iffy control scheme. But here's my take. Though flawed, the Joy-Cons are the most versatile controllers ever created. The Swiss Army knife of controllers. For one, they are 2 controllers. It's so easy to just split them and hand a controller to a friend. It's never been that easy to begin a multiplayer session on the go, and it's served me well. Sure, SL and SR are tiny as hell, but the Joy-Con straps are small enough to be carried around in my Switch carrying case. The straps provide beefier buttons for SL and SR, so that covers it. By mentioning their straps, the Joy-Cons are also capable of motion controls, a control scheme that many scoff at, but it's a vital option for more unique games and ways of play. The HD rumble, when utilized properly, does feel quite good in the context of when this was made. And yes, nobody cares, but the IR camera does have one amazing use, and I'll get into that in a bit. I often hand my friends who are less experienced at games the Joy-Cons in the Joy-Con grip. Is it the greatest control scheme ever? No, but it gets the job done, and my non-gamer friends don't seem to mind it. What is the greatest control scheme ever is the Nintendo Switch Pro controller. Second to the DualSense, the Switch Pro controller is one of the best feeling just things in general. The control stick issue from earlier is largely dealt with and feels great. Buttons are much bigger and beefier. It still has motion capabilities, so games like Splatoon, Metroid Prime, or Fortnite can almost give you the precision of a mouse. The HD rumble still feels great, second to the DualSense. And overall, it's just super comfortable and ergonomic. For longtime Switch owners, this is a must-buy. Whether it was the HD rumble of the Joy-Cons, the ergonomic feel of the Pro Controller, or the revival of the GameCube controller, the Switch offered a range of ways to play, and nowhere was that variety more celebrated in than Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, a game that embraced every control style, every character, and every era of Nintendo. This game is huge, not just in terms of content, but cultural impact. The hype cycle from reveal to release is only half the story. Each Nintendo Direct following release had everyone gripping their thighs at the thought of the next Fighter Pass DLC. I love reactions to these videos. And the reveals themselves are nothing short of fan service galore. Ridley kills Mario, Piranha Plant kills Mario, Sephiroth kills Mario. Man, Sakurai really hates Mario. Wait, Mario's in the game? I begged for Steve to get into Smash, and he sure did, literally breaking the internet when announced. I find it so hilarious that he's the best fighter in the game, and I'm all for it. Every fighter is here. Yes, even Duck Hunt, that fucking bird that I hate. The gameplay feels fast and satisfying. Not as fast as Melee, but not as slow as for Wii U. Say what you will about competitive Smash, but I think, with all of its quirks, is still a super satisfying and intense fighter. This, Mario Kart, and Splatoon were my competitive games. Yes, I know the shower's to the right. But that's not to say I hate items. I in fact love them. They add that chaotic flair that evens the playing grounds for me and my friends. They can be so wacky and bullshit that it's just pure hilarity. This is my most played game ever, perhaps next to Minecraft. I've spent countless hours practicing or messing around with friends in person or online. Thousands of matches were played. Most go through one ear and out the other, but some, like Mario Kart, have created lifelong memories. Like Mario Kart, this is another must-have Switch game. When people think Nintendo, they think this game. It's amazing to pull out and play with friends at any time, anywhere. I've played so many pickup games in many places. It's truly magical the legs this game has. Other features of the game include extra modes, a single player that's kind of half-baked and needed more cutscenes and fan service, a giant catalog of music from different series, a very horny social media. There's just so much to do. You can never run out of things to do in this game. Things to master. Smash Ultimate brought nearly every Nintendo icon together in celebration of legacy, but for some characters, it was a reminder of how long they'd been absent from the spotlight. One of the most notable was Samus Aran. After years of silence, she returned in stunning form, Metroid Dread. Originally conceived 19 years before release on the DS, Dread is one of the best Metroidvanias out there and even rivals legends like Super Metroid or Symphony of the Night. It's challenging, but not in an unfair way. Bosses can really kick your ass, but once you know their patterns after multiple rages, they become quite easy. This was a joint venture with Mercury Steam, who previously proved their worth with Samus Returns on the 3DS. What they did there was significantly improved on in Dread. The melee counter moves much more smoothly, and in combination with the slide, Samus has never felt more agile and athletic to play as. In addition to Aeon abilities like the Flash Shift, I've never felt more badass when frying aliens and exterminating the X-Parasite. Traversing ZDR feels so organic and fast. There will be times when you are lost, but once you chart the area a little more, fast traveling becomes a breeze. The Emmy robots are a terrifying sight. It's like the equivalent of the Guardian in Breath of the Wild. You better get your ass out of there. But once you've defeated more of them, they become a cakewalk. And that's what I love about Metroidvanias. You can feel yourself getting stronger and more fearless as the game progresses, and Dread delivers that feeling tenfold. The fight against Ravenbeak has gone down as one of my favorite final bosses ever. The game just gets so many things right. Dread successfully reinvigorated 2D Metroid into a contemporary masterpiece. Where Metroid Dread offered tight tension, Fire Emblem Three Houses took a slower, more strategic approach, inviting players into a richly layered narrative full of politics, relationships, and consequence. I'm not the biggest Fire Emblem fan, so I can't say too much about the deeper things of this game, but what I can say is I love the gameplay loop and its commanding wartime story. I picked the Golden Deer, which in hindsight was the weakest story of the Three Houses, but it was truly carried by the charisma held within each character. Between battles, you get to know your students and train them to become better. You can even recruit students from other houses. A goal I had in mind was to recruit almost all the students I could to make them the ultimate house. In doing so, I had to really learn their backstories, perspectives, strengths, and weaknesses, because not only will you recruit them, but they will get better at their skills, creating real killing machines, but also, they truly are people. The story has a time jump in the middle where all hell breaks loose and full-scale war is happening. I enjoyed my time with the Golden Deer and taking down Edelgard, but going back and looking through the other routes, I have to say that I kinda missed out on even better narratives. But I say, it felt awesome commanding my troops to victory, really giving a sense of scale to battles. I'm not the most educated on this game, but what I can say is that there's a lot of content to indulge in, and I had a fun time with what I had. Three Houses took the recovering Fire Emblem franchise and deepened its gameplay to create a mainstream hit. Sorry, Smash haters. Three Houses evolved its standard formula and drew players into a world of strategy, conflict, and complex relationships. Animal Crossing New Horizons offered the perfect counterbalance, a serene escape where the biggest decision was which flower to plant or how to decorate your home. Its big evolution was making you God. Released at the perfect time when life became so dreary, New Horizons offered that perfect, cozy escape where you and your friends could live in a simpler state. Before, you were mayor of the town. Now, you can decide where people live, where paths go, craft any item, divert the flow of water, transform the entire land, deport people if you please. You can do anything. New Horizons lets go of any restrictions and enables you to do whatever to your island. It was the perfect cozy sim game, but not without its annoyances. You can't craft multiple items. Menus and actions in general are clunky and slow. The load times are atrocious. Ever have 7 friends that want to visit your island? Have fun waiting like 10 minutes before you can all play. And all the villagers are just soulless yes men that are all kind of one note. But regardless, the core gameplay loop drew millions in to relax and unwind after stressful days of work or just life. These warm, cute sim games aren't for everyone, but Animal Crossing delivers a lot in what it's trying to do. To calm yourself, to build your dream vacation, and have a sip of some coffee. Though flawed, New Horizons truly opened Animal Crossing to the limits of your imagination. It finally gave players unshackled freedom in a time of a lockdown world. The game was on top of charts during the pandemic, but showed a decline once the world was back to normal. People often cite this as the death of New Horizons, but the game, even after that, was still a consistent bestseller 5 years later and still reigns as the Switch's second best-selling game. Nintendo has proven that they still have the ability to push forward with new ideas to their long-standing franchises. But a flaw some people say of the Switch is that there isn't many new IP or wacky Nintendo experiments on the system. Well, let's go through some. The biggest original success has to be Ring Fit Adventure. This is, I suppose, the spiritual successor to Wii Fit, but it's not quite that because this game actually takes you on a sprawling adventure. This comes with the Ring Con, a giant rubber ring you slide your Joy-Con into to get some resistance workouts. It also includes the leg strap to track your running. From what I hear, it's a good sweat, not in the Smash way, but in the gym. A place where Smash players never go. Apparently, this was a surprise hit, selling over 15 million units. That's more than Splatoon, Kirby, Luigi's Mansion. Unfortunately, that same success didn't come for Nintendo Labo. I have them all, and they've been the best dust collectors in the house. This was the only cool thing the IR camera did. It brought cardboard to life, and it was the coolest thing ever for kids. Only one of the 4 kits sold barely 1 million units, dear God. Labo is something I hold near and dear to my heart. It's that experimental, wacky side of Nintendo people say died during this generation. And nobody bought it. Was Labo cool? Hell yeah. Was its technology mind-blowing? Yeah. Did you use it after 5 minutes? God no. But it's a bastion of Nintendo's commitment to playful innovation. Something that ARMS wish it was. ARMS was a brand new IP with so much potential, but its gameplay loop just needed more things to do. Amazing music, great character design, unique concept, but it needed more time in the oven to keep players coming back. ARMS 2 is totally happening, guys. Just do wait, this video will age like Jackie Chan. At launch, there was a small game known as Snipper Clips, published by Nintendo, a unique co-op puzzle game where you brutally mutilate each other. Unique and fun, but too small and barely noticed by the public. Game Builder Garage built on Labo's Toy-Con Garage feature and made it into a game creator. Great gateway for kids to get into coding, but too limiting to develop insane projects. Mario Kart Live Home Circuit would have been an instant buy for me if I was 10. Create Mario Kart courses in your house, my parents would have hated this. Unique idea, but I ain't doing that. Fun gift to give to younger siblings, but not too much else. Jump Rope Challenge was a free-to-play game with so many warnings on its website I think I might be scared of bunnies. I don't trust these free-to-play freaks. But Nintendo also had many unexpected collaborations and genre blends. Developed by Platinum Games as an exclusive was Astral Chain, a widely underrated action game and a new IP for the big N. There was also Cadence of Hyrule, a Zelda collaboration with an indie developer of all people. That was very cool to see. But not to mention the countless Warriors games for Zelda and Fire Emblem. Maybe a little too much. Fun button-mashing collaborations with some non-canon stories and canon ones. While the company always looked forward to new ways of play, developers wanted to give older games another shot or a reinvigoration. Super Mario Maker was a fun title on the Wii U and really shined in the social media sphere. Looking at you, Dashi.
Where did this?
Of course, when its sequel, Super Mario Maker 2, released, it greatly built upon the original in every way. Only problem was that the course maker felt clunky compared to the quickness of the gamepad. That's the only plus I'll give to the Wii U. But nonetheless, Maker 2 provided the world with so many unique course creations and a lot more little Timmies. Some thought that Maker 2 would make any 2D Mario redundant, which is exactly what Nintendo wanted to prove wrong with Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Wonder was the first original 2D Mario game since New Super Mario Bros. U, so it wasn't a very high bar to cross. Everyone thought that 2D Mario was old, stale, bland, and forgettable. Wonder crushes those stereotypes and truly modernizes 2D Mario while also having an identity of its own. That identity being a copious amount of psychedelics. The game bursts with creativity and joy from every course. The art style is magnificent and lively. The flowers fucking talk to you. This 2D Mario had the same whimsy and uniqueness the 3D Mario games had. It truly stands alongside the greats of the greater Super Mario series. Not only that, but co-op in this game is so fun. Playing this at home with my brother and on the go with friends at school is why the Nintendo Switch works so well. As for the Mario parties, it would only get better. From the Wii U era, Mario Party was in a pretty controversial state. Starting with Super Mario Party, it was good, on the right track, but had some flaws that draw it back from me. But that didn't stop it from selling like gangbusters. Later on, we got Mario Party Superstars. Technically not an original game since it reuses old boards and minigames, but that's not to say they weren't fantastic because this game is exactly what people love about Mario Party. To hate each other. So when Super Mario Party Jamboree hit, it was the original Switch Mario Party we needed all along. It was awesome, fun, and I hate every one of my friends. Here's a series that course corrected with trial and error throughout the generation and ended on a very high note. but you can't always produce a brand new sequel. Sometimes you're just very lazy. Ports and remasters. The Switch is guilty as charged. Going back to New Super Mario Bros. U, we have the game's deluxe version. Considered as one of the worst ports on Switch, but one of the very best is Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. They refined so much about the original, decreased load times, increased speeds, maybe a little too much, but the biggest hook was online play. This game is a must play with friends, near and far. It is comedy gold. It's so fun to mess around, suffer together, and succeed together in this masterful collection of platforming courses. And on top of that, you get a side mode where Bowser loses his shit, an open-ended Mario game where the boundaries of courses are stripped away for one interconnected world. Short, but fun and promising for the future. Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze was a pretty straightforward port of one of, if not the best platformer in existence. But it has funky mode, so there's another reason for the Wii U to be thrown out. Hyrule Warriors, Lego City, Pikmin 3, there was just a ton of Wii U games that got a second chance on a more stable platform. Miitopia was a fun 3DS port, but Luigi's Mansion 2 HD unfortunately felt a little underbaked. Thousand Year Door, that game looks amazing. Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe is an excellent remaster and another great co-op game. And it also includes a fun epilogue story and Merry Magaland. I legit fire this game up for some fun multiplayer games. It's so great. Why they never made this game with online play is beyond me. Skyward Sword HD actually made Skyward Sword playable. I actually like the motion controls because I like sword fighting. You can shoot me now. But probably the best remaster on Switch has to be Metroid Prime Remastered. This 20-year-old game with a proper remaster still looks absolutely gorgeous to this day. Probably the best looking Switch game to date. Runs beautifully and on top of that, it's Metroid Prime, so it's peak. No way, I take that back. Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition may be the best remaster. That game looks gorgeous as well. One of the greatest stories in all of gaming. Super fun, and it has an epilogue story, so it's peak. Also, the remakes went hard here. Link's Awakening is such a joy and a great 2D Zelda. That was able to spawn Echoes of Wisdom, which takes more sandbox, creative elements from the Wild Arrow games into a 2D Zelda. Mario RPG looks great. The Famicom Detective Club probably made $0, but at least Nintendo supports small fan bases with something. Now, I've been talking a whole lot about Nintendo developed and published games, but what about the third parties? Nintendo systems of the past two generations struggled a bit with their unorthodox controls and underpowered hardware. So how did the Switch fare? Well, it's better than most. For the most part, the Switch got a ton of third-party support, but towards the middle and end, it sort of fizzled out. Skyrim was a big one, and alongside Breath of the Wild, truly showed the charm of bringing a console-quality game on the go. Monster Hunter Rise was pretty impressive for the system and was a great multiplayer experience. What isn't a very good multiplayer experience is Minecraft. I played a lot of Minecraft on Switch, and at the beginning it was fine. Until it wasn't. It was until we struck bedrock. This game will take years to load your skin. The render distance is shorter than it is on my iPhone. Bugs and lag to no end, and with newer updates completely changing world generation, this toaster is cooked. It will crash sometimes, and it's hilarious. What's also hilarious is Doom Eternal running on this thing. Yes, I own it. Am I insane for owning this? Do I have a small dick? Does it work? Yes, it does. Really, you want to pick this up if you want to play on the go, and I can confirm that it does perform pretty well in handheld mode. Apart from the fact it crashed like twice in my use, but that's only me. I don't know, I have a day one Switch, leave it alone. But that's a giant 8th generation game running on the go. It's incredible. Much like The Witcher 3. What black magic is this? Taking a huge experience like this on the go was unbelievable. Is this the definitive way of playing it? Hell no. But is it a good way to play this on the train, in class, or to grandma's? Sure. Perhaps back then before Steam Deck, but sure. Persona 5 Royal finally released after taking so long when Joker was already in Smash, and it runs great. Nier Automata runs amazingly on Switch. Can't say the same about Fortnite. Yes, I played Fortnite for a year, mostly on Switch, and at the time, it worked fine. Mega Man 11, No Man's Sky, Shin Megami Tensei 5, Hades, they all work very well. Bioshock, Katamari, Dragon Quest, Ori and the Will of the Wisps is one of the best Metroidvanias ever. So good, runs great, looks great, amazing. Sonic Mania is perfect for this system. So is It Takes Two. The Switch is the perfect co-op system. Play that with family at home and on the go with a friend by passing a Joy-Con. It's perfect. Cuphead is made for the Switch. Absolutely phenomenal. It took me 6 fucking years to beat that game, but after long sessions with so many different people, playing this game at home and on the go was amazing. Truly awesome with the Switch. Of course, not a lot are hitters. Hogwarts Legacy is barely functional. Cloud versions are pretty lame. Mortal Kombat 1. The Switch later on in life was becoming a pretty weak system. But if done right, with a lot of time and effort, your game can look and run well on the system. There are also tons of indie games. This is the indie machine. Hollow Knight, Undertale, Deltarune, Untitled Goose Game was so fun to show off to friends and play in co-op. Animal Well is a great game for the portable hybrid. I loved it. Shovel Knight is excellent. Pizza Tower was just made for a Nintendo console. Graceful Explosion Machine was fun, and Just Shapes and Beats was a delightful bullet hell. You want to know what wasn't delightful? Paying for online. Nintendo Switch Online has had a rocky 7 years of service. At the start, it was downright pitiful. Locked online behind a paywall with drip-fed NES games, cloud saves, and special perks of... It was an outright scam. Plus, the online for all the games was still quite ass. No dedicated servers, just blocked functionality. Awesome! There was also a pitiful app that had the logo take up half of the screen. Did anyone even use voice chat on their phones? Just use Discord. The app did get better though, and some game-specific services were actually very helpful. And then they introduced the expansion pack, and it was the same story all over again. Tiny lineup of N64 games that ran in a sketchy state, Genesis games, and exclusive access to Animal Crossing DLC. Who in their right mind would buy this? This was the mindset of when they first debuted. But today, I'd argue Switch Online is a great deal. Tons of NES, SNES, and Game Boy games, Nintendo Music, Save Data Cloud, 2.99 games, and special offers like in-game rewards and the Nintendo Classics controllers. And with the expansion pack, you get tons of now quality N64, Game Boy Advance, and Genesis games that you can play online with friends, and free Mario Kart, Animal Crossing, and Splatoon DLC, and you also get access to game vouchers and missions and rewards. All of that content for either $20 a year or $50. And you can group up to 8 people together in a family plan, so every person, split evenly, would pay $4.38 for a normal plan, or $10 for the expansion pack. Is that not a steal? Though we don't have dedicated servers, Nintendo Switch Online turned out to be one of the best deals in gaming yet. Oh, and voice chat. But that still doesn't excuse how much of a disappointment it was at the beginning. The Switch isn't immune to disappointment. I mean, just look at Pokemon. They did not have a good time this generation. People were curious as to how the RPG would evolve now that it's on what's considered a home console. What we got was Sword and Shield, a noticeable push to a more open-ended catching system, but cut the Pokédex for the first time. Also, the trees looked like they came straight out of the N64. Reused animations, shitty animations in general. It was just a big disappointment for many. By this time, I only played Pokemon Moon for like 15 minutes and got bored. So when playing Sword, I got through a good 2/3 of the game, then just got bored and never finished it. Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl seemed to spit in the face of any remake and gave us the cheapest, most soulless and laughable game a AAA developer could make. You must be stupid to buy these, oh wait. But then there was a light at the end of the tunnel, with Legends Arceus, an open area take on Pokemon where the goal was to simply catch them all, in a time period where the Pokédex wasn't established. Along with a more quote-unquote in-depth combat system, this truly gave fans hope. Of course it came with the Game Freak quirks of looking like complete shit, but the vision was there. I had a ton of fun playing this, and it was the first Pokemon game I decided to finish, simply because I was having fun. So when Scarlet and Violet were said to be building off of Legends Arceus, I was intrigued. Were they successful? Scarlet and Violet are completely broken. The game looks terrible and runs terrible. It needs to do stand-up comedy. I'll laugh the whole time. But the thing is with this game is that its open world was something people have dreamt of for a long time for a Pokemon game. I really did enjoy running around the Spain-inspired landscapes of Paldea, catching Pokemon and becoming the very best. Terastallizing was kinda interesting, but I don't know. It just felt like this time the gameplay loop finally got to me because it felt seamless. Not as seamless as Arceus, but still. Didn't stop people from buying though. I did finish this, but only because it was I've come so far to quit now mentality. Pokemon's had a rough ride this generation, and a lot of people's trust in the games is more rocky than ever. Another disappointment comes from Nintendo Switch Sports. Made to be the grand return of Wii Sports, Switch Sports was barely even better than that game. Overall, underwhelming compared to Wii Sports Resort, a 16-year-old game. I will say though, playing this game with friends in person is a guilty pleasure of ours. It's legit really fun when you're messing around with motion controls, screaming at your friends for missing a shot at volleyball. This series still has potential, it's just that Switch Sports fell short on many things because of what came before. Really, every Mario Sports title has had some form of disappointment. Most certainly the return of Mario Strikers, a once really unique soccer game, became a soulless cash grab. Princess Peach Showtime was giving the prolific princess her chance in the spotlight, and though very charming, treated its players as if they were 2-year-old lobotomites. If you want girls to love video games, treating them like toddlers isn't the move. I never picked up Fire Emblem Engage, though I heard the gameplay is very fun, but I mean, look at it. What is the story? Why should I care about Colgate Girl? Paper Mario and the Origami King was a step up from Color Splash, but was nowhere near as good as the original or the Thousand Year Door, or possibly even Super. Yoshi's Crafted World looked downright beautiful, but it really was a turn your brain off kind of game that belonged on the App Store. WarioWare unfortunately did not hit this generation. Does anyone even know that Endless Ocean Luminous exists? And who could forget everybody 1-2 Switch, the game even Nintendo wanted to forget. Before release, all we heard about the game was that every playtester hated it and Nintendo didn't want to release it. They shadow dropped it, did like 2 ads, and never spoke of it again, like a fart in the wind. For a console with so many games, there are bound to be missteps, but it seemed that for every misstep it took, there'd be other great games to distract you from the stumble. Kirby and the Forgotten Land was a huge step forward from the bland and brainless Kirby Star allies, and was a huge leap forward for the whole series. It's one of the best 3D action platformers with tight controls, unique abilities, and a world that throws you fun obstacles and a lot more to collect. Clubhouse Games is an amazing kit to gamble with your friends. I'm only kidding, of course. I'm not joking. My friends and I have spent hours playing blackjack, betting the highest amount every time, and talking about dumb shit. It's truly an experience. Who needs real cards when you can whip out the tiny Android tablet? I also did this in the car, it was magical. Bayonetta 3 is an amazing action game. It feels so great to move, fight, and kick ass as Bayonetta. Though this game does struggle a little bit on the system, it still feels amazing to play, and has motivated me to look more into these types of action games like Devil May Cry 5. Luigi's Mansion 3 could also take the cake for the best looking game on the platform. Its unique floors are a delight. Every corner of the game is bustling with personality, and capturing ghosts has never felt better. I always forget this, but Luigi's Mansion 3 was a huge success on Switch, and definitely an overlooked gem. A success on the smaller side has to be Pikmin 4. This is up there with Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild to be the Switch's top 3 games. It's a masterpiece, and I never wanted to put the game down. The more you get into it, the more fun the hunt gets. Play this game with a completionist perspective and you'll have a delightful, thoughtful, and sometimes terrifying experience no shorter than 40 hours. Taking us to the skies with the grand experience that is Tears of the Kingdom. I'm one of those weirdos that think Tears is actually better than Breath of the Wild in almost every way, besides story. Tears offers a world rebuilding from calamity, a world where communities come together. Exploring Hyrule after, say, a 5-year hiatus from Breath of the Wild was like revisiting an old friend, an older, changed, and wiser friend, but still that same person. Only now, it's in danger once again, and you have to save it. The ending is spectacular, and one of the best final bosses I've ever played. Tears of the Kingdom takes the crown as my favorite game of all time. Though riddled with flaws and deja vu, what I would give to rediscover Hyrule for the first time again. There is one last game I want to go over, and I think that Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is a fitting conclusion. Not just to its own trilogy, but to the spirit of the Nintendo Switch era. My Mount Rushmore of Switch games would be Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, Pikmin 4, and Xenoblade 3. This game is beautiful to no end. Its art style is great, characters heartfelt, the best music I've ever heard in a video game. Its real-time, action-based battle system is some of the most fun and engaging combat systems I've ever played in an RPG. It's gripping, methodical, fast-paced, and fun. The amount of classes, arts, fusion arts, and combos are staggering but awesome to get down. The process of break, topple, and daze or launch and smash are super satisfying, but tough to master. And then you have chain attacks, which slow the game down so you can get your party to inflict massive damage. Getting that multiplier as high as possible is so addicting. Then you get things like Ouroboros forms with their heavy-hitting attacks and the Sword of the End that feels super broken. The story is the heart of why you're even fighting. In essence, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 explores themes of fate, free will, and the search for meaning in a world seemingly defined by an endless cycle of conflict and rebirth in the endless now. Hell, I made a film duology from that name, please don't sue me, Nintendo. I won't say too much about the story because it genuinely will surprise and break your heart, while also making you laugh and feel badass in this heartfelt epic. A game about the clash of worlds, of legacy and progress, of fighting for meaning in a manufactured existence. It mirrors Nintendo's journey of reconciling past mistakes, daring innovation, and finally finding harmony. And as the sun sets on the Switch, it leaves us not with a goodbye, but with a question. What comes next? The Nintendo Switch is a console that truly means a lot to me. I first got it when I was 11. I grew up with it. It's made so many memories, brought so many people together, made me laugh, smile, scream, sweat, cheer, and tear. It's given me experiences I couldn't have with any other device. Well, other than piracy on PC or playing co-op multiplayer on a Steam Deck, which a grand total of 0 people have done. The Nintendo Switch has had its ups and downs, its trying times, its moments of doubts. But what I can attest to is that the Nintendo Switch has truly made a wonderful impact on my life. Whether, I'm alone or with friends and family, anytime, anywhere, whenever, wherever. That is the true gift of the Switch. Even with a couple more games headed its way, it has a dwindling future ahead. Who's to say the Switch 2 will match the success and impact of its predecessor? I'm going to sound like the biggest Nintendo fanboy alive, which could be true, but the Nintendo Switch might be their best system of all time. I feel like you kind of be lying to yourself when you say otherwise. It is far, far from perfect. I have my gripes with the system, but when you look at what it was able to output and achieve for years, I think we got a winner on our hands. Nintendo finally made it back to heaven. So here's to the end of a wonderful life. But as we all know, life will go on. Oh.